started. Thank you guys so much for attending Money Smart Day 2023. We're really excited for this session on salary negotiation with Elena from Career Services. If you guys have any questions during the presentation, feel free to just shoot a message in the chat. I'm going to be kind of monitoring it and sending them to Elena as they pop up. We are also recording this session, just so you're aware. But we're really excited to have you guys with us today. And thank you, Elena. I'm going to pass it over to you to get started.
Thank you so much, Taylor. It's great that you invited me, and I'm happy to share a few tips and strategies with our audience today. So just a quick intro. I'm one of the associate directors in University Career Services. I have a long history with Mason. I went to grad school here, and I came to work in career services many years ago. So I've been here for a long time. And today I'm happy to share some information on salary negotiations. So let's get started. My preference is to answer questions as they come. So feel free to put them in the chat or unmute yourself. This is not a big group, so feel free to do that. Don't be afraid of interrupting. So we are here to hopefully learn more about this and feel more comfortable when we are in a position to negotiate salary. So here is, let me see if I can advance my slides. So here is my first question for you. Can you share in the chat or unmute yourself? What is the worst fear about negotiating salary? So if someone wants to unmute themselves, feel free to do that. So here is someone says, maybe ask too much over or not enough. Okay. Yeah, I don't want to appear that you are greedy. Not sure how to start. Okay. Thank you for sharing this. And lose the job. Not doing it okay, not doing it correctly, right? Not using the right words to do that, right? Being as impactful. Okay, very good. Let me share you one of my stories when I actually interviewed for a job that I really wanted. And I think I did very well because I was offered the job, right? But when I learned about the salary, I was quite disappointed because I was working with that organization as an intern for more than a year, and I was doing some part-time work with them as a wage employee. And then, when I was hoping to become, a salaried employee, the salary didn't match my expectations. So it was tough because I knew the person that I was negotiating with, and I was wondering, is she not valuing me? Why is not, because she gave me the impression during the interview that she really valued me and she wanted me to join the team, but the salary didn't reflect that. And I'm telling you, the reason I had insider information, so I knew a lot about the place. I knew what someone with my experience would, what that position will be paid for. And I also knew that there was a public information. Salary for that organization was public information, so I could do the research. So I did my homework. I knew what I should be paid, and I said, I really want to work for you, but if the salary doesn't meet my requirements, I don't know, I cannot accept. So it was back and forth for a few days actually with this person, and eventually I didn't get what I wanted, but I got something in between. And it was nerve-wracking because I thought, what if she's not going to offer the job anymore? But I felt bad to accept the job for a lower salary. So that was a long time ago, but I was very happy many years later when I found out that that actually there were enough funds so the person could, pay me. And then knowing that, when you start with an organization, if you get a salary increase, it's that base salary that you are able to negotiate that will dictate how much more you will have in the future as well. So I would say, hopefully these tips today will help you feel more confident in the process. So let's see what we have next. So here are a few things that we should cover today. We have so many things that I put on the list. So what an employer expects, when should we negotiate? What can we ask for? What's important to each individual when they do this negotiation? How to evaluate a job offer? What to say? What to say when you are offered the job versus when you are already in the job and you are negotiating for a raise, how to accept or decline offers, biases in the in the wage gap, and what happens when you are the employer and while you're the other side. So hopefully this will cover most of the things that will be helpful for you today. So it's my understanding, Taylor shared with me that she will share these slides with you at the end. And we will also put something in the chat if you are curious to have those links as well. So based on what the research says, actually 73% of the employers say that they actually, they will not get upset if you are willing to negotiate and if you ask for what you feel that your work deserves. So and actually 80% or 84% will of employers will expect you to negotiate that. So when I'm a hiring manager, I kind of expect that. Of course, I work in career services, and this is what we do. We teach students and alumni how to negotiate, right? So I'm prepared to negotiate with employees that, future employees, people who are applying for a job and they expect, to have maybe a higher salary, right? So I expect that, and like 87% of employers who said that they will never take their word back if it's negotiations is happening. So I would say the same for me. So if I have the funds and the person is deserving and I can ask for more and I get that extra funds, I'm happy to meet that. But sometimes I might not be able to do that. So it's not going to be deal breaker if I cannot do that. So I actually expect people to try to negotiate for what they think that their work is worth. And here, just knowing that employers reported that they are not going to use that information against you if you're already working and you ask for a promotion and you ask for a salary for a raise. That's not going to be held against you. So I encourage you to create your strategy as a result. I mean, here is what employers are saying, and I can tell you from my experience as well. So I would like to ask you to use the chat for answering this. So if an employer is asking you for a salary request before extending an offer to you, what should you do? Should you avoid the question, give your ideal figure, give a range? Number 4 is 1 and 3, so a combination of 2 answers, and number 5, none of the above. Okay. Number 2. Okay. I see number 2, number 4. Okay. I would say you might want to give your ideal figure, but I think you are safe if you are trying to avoid to answer the question, because during you know, you might find more information during the process, and if you could do your research to find a range, I think that giving a range gives you more room for negotiation. So I would say option 4 here. So try to avoid a question and give a range might be the best approach. So in terms of, let's see, the timing when you negotiate is very important, right? So there are different moments in the application, application process, interviewing, when you could, so the employer might ask you about this. So my suggestion is try to avoid the conversation about the salary or what you expect, because I would say towards the end, if you can push it as far as possible, as late as possible in the process, that will benefit you. I remember one of my students that I work with, she shared her ideal number before she actually started the interview. And during the interview, she found out that actually the requirements for that positions were more complex. So she thought, oh, this is a lot of work. So she started thinking, is going to be a lot of work, and what I shared initially based on the job description and the information I was provided might not be enough. So if I take this job with the salary that I asked for, I will not be happy. So we discussed a strategy how to negotiate, even though it's a little bit harder when you ask for a figure that is not enough. Going up is not easy, but it's not impossible either. So do not get discouraged if that happens, but I would say try to push that answer as late as possible in the process. Okay. So if the conversation starts before so what I would say this, so before you are offered the job, try not to initiate the conversation. Let the employer do that. And try not to share your current salary or your salary history. And how can you do that? You might say something like, I have some suggestions in here. So number 1 will be something that my example earlier with the student that I work with, like, I would like to learn more about the job to see if, and also to see the total benefits package, understand the expectations of the role. So these kind of suggestions will hopefully be helpful for those of you who put in the chat that you might not know how to approach this and what kind of words to use to respond. So this would be some idea. So I wonder if it's anybody here in the audience today used a different kind of answer, and you are willing to share with us. What did you say? Feel free to put that in the chat. So Taylor just shared something with you. So I'm sharing some of these articles and some of this information that I found useful. So you might want to save it for yourself as well. Okay, I know it takes time to type in the chat, so feel free to do that, but I will go to the next slide. So when it comes to our power to our control over what's happening in that process of receiving the offer and negotiating. There are many things that actually are not in our control. And actually the long list here, what type of degree you have and supply and demand, department budget, those things we cannot influence, right? We cannot change anything about those things, right? But I would say the last items here on the list are the things that are in our control. So depending how well we are interviewing and how we are able to shine in the process and tell them how great we are for the position, I think that's in our power. And of course, the negotiating after that. And I will say this, having negotiating skills, this is what they are. They are skills like any other skills. We are not born with them. We don't know how to negotiate just because we have natural talent. It's a skill that we develop and feel more confident over time. For those of you who were here earlier, when I was sharing my story with that negotiating salary situation, it was surprising to me that hiring manager told me, because it was a career counseling position, it was a career counselor. So as a career counselor, I was helping students and my clients to negotiate salary. So after everything, we agreed on the final salary, that hiring manager told me, well, I was actually surprised that you negotiated so well. I say, really? How come? I mean, I'm teaching other people how to negotiate. Why are you surprised? This is part of what I do. But it's interesting how people react, right? So at least she was sharing that with me, and was helpful to see that actually she appreciated that I negotiated. Okay, so so again, practice both interviewing skills and negotiating skills are going to help you because these are under control. Now, this is what we can do. Now, in terms of doing the research, I mentioned earlier that I found very helpful to support my case with the research, knowing, in my case, I knew so much from information interviews. I was an internal candidate, so I knew a little bit about ranges, what to expect. I did my own research, for instance, in our field, the National Association of Colleges and Employers, they have so many reports on salaries for different industries, for different roles. Professional associations, very important, because for each profession, for each industry, you know what to expect. Chronicle of Higher Ed, Inside Higher Ed. So those are great resources for you to consider. And here, if you look at some resources on the internet, I would say Glassdoor, PayScale, all of these are great resources. You can do the research not only on the salary. So Glassdoor is great because you can also look at information about how the interview went. So people put a lot of information there. So PayScale, Salary Expert, Salary.com are very similar resources. So feel free to check and find the right information. With the federal government, salary is a different story. So that will be something that you definitely need to know what are the steps, so the grades and all that. So please follow the most updated information on that. Okay, so another thing here that I want to share with you, I want you to think about this. So if you were to compare 3 job offers, so salary for same position, if you had a chance to negotiate, which is one thing that might not be allowed, or for certain industries, for certain organizations, you cannot negotiate salary, and that is because they want to have more equitable approach. So it's not that so for the same role, they will pay for the same work, for the same effort, they will pay the similar salary, right? So, and that's it. And they will let you right away know that it's not negotiable, right? Now, also think about the fact that, the research shows that men are 4 times more likely than women to negotiate. So I've seen that when working with my clients who are my students who are females, and they don't always think about negotiating. And even the expectation that they have about the work, when they apply for the job, many times women will say, oh, I would like to apply for this job, but I don't have all the qualifications. I'm not perfectly matched with the position. So I don't know if I should apply for the job. Where most men will say, I'm not a perfect match, but I will get the job and I think I will figure out. I will, so it's just a different approach, a different confidence. I'm not saying that everybody has the same, but I've seen a lot in my interaction with students and alumni. So I would say many women do not negotiate. And I would encourage you to reconsider that. And even if you're not a perfect match for the position, think about sometimes going to the next level means that there might be some learning curve, but everybody is learning. Everybody can go to the next level. And if they are offering you the job, it means that you can do the job. They already agreed on that, right? So try a little bit to match your expectations, right? So these figures in mind. So do we have any comments here? What people say in the chat, Taylor? What we see here? No answers?
We did have one comment that's something frustrating when you're applying to jobs is that a lot of applications now make it a required question to answer your salary preferences, either giving like a drop-down menu or just requiring that a number be typed in. And that's just a frustrating point of having to disclose that information before you even apply.
If I were in a position like that and I had to put a number there, I would just put something. I don't necessarily put a number, or I don't know. If I could trick the system somehow not to put the number. Because again, it's there. If I'm qualified for the job and I don't put a number there, it doesn't mean that they will not invite me for the interview. They shouldn't. I mean, I'm confident I could, but again, it depends. There are so many factors to consider when you make a decision like that. I remember once I personally applied for a job that I really wanted because that was a kind of entry level, but I wanted to work for that organization. So applying for that job, it meant that I got a salary cut from my previous position, but I really wanted to work for that person. So the supervisor was the person I wanted to work with. And I knew that in long term is going to pay off, even though initially my salary was not that great. But over time, in like a long-term plan, it paid off. But again, it depends on you. And actually, I remember this person asking me at the interview when we discussed the job offer, and she acknowledged, because she knew I was coming from a different organization that paid better. She said, I know that we cannot pay as much as the other. Are you sure you want the job? I said, yes, I want it. I know it's not paid as much, but I want this position for these reasons. And one of the reasons that I wanted the job, it was the salary was not that great, but I had more time off, which was very important for me at the time. So again, it's like we mentioned earlier, it could be a combination of things that are important to you. The full package can make a difference, right? So we'll talk about this in a second. So Let's look at other things here. So talking about the total compensation, what is, the salary, I don't know if you can see this very well. It's a little bit blurry, but that's the best I could do. So in this case, in addition to salary, it could be, the benefits, right, from health, wellness, retirement, income protection, something like that, very important for certain individuals. I guess benefits, it's important for everyone. And then rewards, recognition, something like that. Some people might get a bonus for the performance, might get some time off or other things as a reward for their work. Career development, not many organizations are actually paying extra money for professional development. So in certain professions, you will need to stay up to date with what's happening, right? You might have a certification. I was speaking with someone earlier who has a project management, is a project manager and has the certification, and you have to maintain that, and that costs money. So thinking about how many things are important to you, and if the employer is offering that, is very important. Tuition, we're talking earlier about tuition benefits at Mason. For those of us who work at Mason and want to continue our education, we can definitely get that benefit of having tuition support, so we can get our degrees for free. Yeah, it takes longer because it's when you are working full time and you are going to school, it's not going to be as easy. You're going to be full-time student and full-time employee. Actually, the supervisor needs to approve that, that because if you are taking too many classes, might be a little bit hard to do your job. It's going to be exhausting, right? So, but that's happening. I've seen so many colleagues in university life who actually are, and they got their degrees, more than one actually, and that was part of the benefits that they wanted from Mason. We remember years ago we had in career services one of my colleagues who was an employer. So this person will come to recruit students for, I don't know, it was in the hospitality industry, and this recruiter made very good money for that role. However, through the conversation with us, and she really liked working with us, and she said, you know what, I'm going to come and work with you. And we said, okay, but that we don't pay that much here. And she said, no, but my goal is to get my master's degree. I don't have a master's degree yet, and I want to change my career later. So I want Mason to pay for it. And this is what she did. She came, and even though she got a salary cut from her previous position, she was able to probably, she did the math. I'm sure that it worked for her, got her degree here at Mason while working for us. So just to mention a few things here that you might need to consider as you are thinking, okay, they might not pay a lot for the salary, but if I add all those benefits, it's going to be a difference. It's, one of the things that I love about working at Mason, I love the winter break when the university closes. So for 2 weeks, nobody's working. So when you are on vacation and you come back, nobody sent you email because everybody was on vacation. So that winter break is my favorite benefit. Plus, the leave at Mason for employees is quite generous. So I really appreciate that. So let's go back now, because I asked you, it's like, oh yeah, Elena, you didn't give us enough information. Obviously the big number is the better salary. But if I add more information now to my previous question, let's see. I wanted to look at the whole package now. The salary, $54K with 2 weeks vacation, sick days, holidays, tuition, monthly bonuses, free childcare, 3 telework days per week. So I let you read this, and I want to hear now in the chat which one you would prefer when you look at the whole package. Do we have any answers? Let me see. Anybody still? You don't have to answer, but if you,
We have quite a few people saying A. I see a B out there.
okay,
This person says, I feel like the more your salary, the more demanding the job is, and you won't have as much time for your personal life outside of your profession.
it could be. That's why it's very important for us to conduct those informational interviews. I always encourage students, alumni, to speak with other professionals before they apply for the job to see, is that, get a sense of the culture of the place, get a sense of, how much work it is to be done there, right? Many people mention, I want this work-life balance, and I'm not sure if this job, especially nowadays when we do work remotely, have a hybrid schedule, there's so much going on. So the more information we have, the easier it is for us to make the decision. And I'm sure depending on each situation, right? If I was in my 20s, probably I will pick the salary that's 59K because I wanted more money. But then if I, right now I will pick it depends, the life situation is different and there are different priorities, right? So, so when I give you more information than just 3 figures, the decision is different, right? So it's not only the salary. Okay, very good. So speaking about evaluating the offers, I kind of touched a little bit on this, how important it is for us as we are in the position to decide what is important, what are your priorities, right? And what is actually negotiable. So if you were to just as an exercise and to put it in your radar here. So if you were to think about your priorities, which are your top 5 the most important? And if they are not listed here, you can add them on the list. This is some common things that we're hearing about what's important for individuals when they think about getting a new job or asking for a promotion. That's also important for asking for a raise. And if you want to share that with us in the chat, that would be great. I like to say that the only good thing from the pandemic was the fact that we are working remotely more than before. I think it was possible even before the pandemic, but many employers were taking their time and you're thinking, oh, this is not possible, this cannot be done. And in 24 hours, many employers found a solution when the time came, right? So working remotely, I hear from many people how important it is to have that hybrid schedule or even to work 100% remotely. So definitely something happens with my screen here. Do you see interruption of my screen or something, Taylor? Okay. So what do we see in the chat? Do we have anything? Any comments?
I shared that feeling like I make an impact is really important to me. I prioritize that over my base salary.
Mm-hmm.
I see some people said base pay, health benefits, retirement,
Mm-hmm.
telework, company culture.
Very good.
This person said professional growth, well-being, their commute,
Okay.
telework, and workload.
Okay, very good.
Oh, this person said personal satisfaction.
Yeah, very good. You see, we are so different. We are so different, right? And we, as same individuals at different moments in our lives, are also valuing other things, right? So thinking about what's important for you right now. I spoke with someone earlier this week, and this person is considering getting another position, even though they love their current job and they have a wonderful supervisor. They want to, they were, so it's a chance event. They learn about a new opportunity that will pay more money. So, but she knows, this person knows that it's going to be more work, for more pay, more work. But when deciding what to do, she shared with me that probably is very tempted to take the high pay, even though it's more work, because one of the things she wants in her job, in her life right now, is to work to live in Washington, D.C., to be in the city. And being in the city, we know, is very expensive. So moving from Rockville, Maryland to DC requires to have a higher salary. So to support a certain lifestyle that's important for this person at this moment, she's willing to take that the other job with more effort but more money, So again, for each individual is going to be different depending on the priorities.
We have another question in chat, Elena.
Sure.
Someone asked, how do we find out if benefits an employer offers are actually followed through on? So I guess, for example, we offer 3 telework days a week, but then I actually get into the job and they haven't offered me telework my first 3 months. How
I would ask that. I would ask that. For instance, I will tell you how it's in my office. So if you want to work for my office, we have a hybrid schedule. However, we make it clear in the beginning that because it's a new job, people need to get used with everything, and more interaction in person is needed. For the first few months, that's not going to be the case. So they will have to come every day for 3 months. But after that, assuming that they already learn and they know how to do their work and they don't need as much supervision or support, they can do definitely perform their job like that. So I would ask. So is this something that will happen right away? So feel free to ask those questions. It's very important. I mean, I'm surprised how many people do not ask a lot of questions at the end of the interview about the job, how long it will take to learn this new role, what are your expectations for the first 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, what do you expect to see happening at the first year, how soon do you have evaluation of the performance evaluation, how soon you discuss potential promotion, so I will ask all these questions that you have, right? And do not accept something unless you have all the answers that can help you. So no surprises after that. So I hope nobody had those surprises because they will promise something and then the employer didn't honor that promise. There are other things that you can do in that, but depending on the situation, I don't want to just give advice, but you can definitely advocate for yourself and say, this was the understanding, it's not happening. That's why it's good to have an official letter, with everything that was discussed. Yeah, I remember a colleague of mine, a different university, couldn't get the salary she wanted. But because professional development was very important to her, she said, can I get funds for this certification that's very important for me? So it was a one-time pay, and the employer was willing to do that. They couldn't just sustain a salary that was a certain figure for this person, but they could do it one time. You know, employers sometimes have a retention bonuses for talented, great employees. They don't want to lose them, so they might work something out. I mean, we all heard about the great resignations. Many people left, even from Mason. So many left. So employers can do something like that. Say, hey, I can give you a retention bonus, and your job is to stay with us for a year, so don't go anywhere. So if you accept the bonus, please stay with us for a year. So that gives the employer the time to figure something out if they feel that that employee might leave, right? So there are many things that can be done. And something that I don't know many people know about related to the Great Resignation. So what happens when our colleagues leave because they got better opportunity? At Mason, it takes a long time to hire new talent, so it could take a few months to bring someone on board. So in the meantime, other people might take extra work on their plate to make sure that the team doesn't suffer. So someone might take extra work, but talk with your supervisor about that. If it's something that it's work that's above your pay and your responsibilities, you know, try to find that there is a way to get a stipend for that, because it's an effort. You put extra effort on that. It's not in your job description, but you are willing to support the team. You want the job to be done, the projects to be completed. So think about those things. Again, negotiation doesn't happen only before you get the job. It happens after that as well. So any other questions?
I see another question asking if you have some type of glossary available that defines some of the terms that are used in this presentation.
Okay, I don't think I prepared something like that, but let me think. I might be able to share that with you after, and you can send it at the end.
Sure, thank you.
Very good question. Thank you. So in terms of what is negotiable, here is a long list. Thinking about even, you know, think about the contribution to 401k fund, you know, life insurance, all those things, right? More vacation. Just thinking about how much is that can be added. So and again, how you find that information, do some research. Nowadays, with so much information on different forums, people share that. LinkedIn also, on LinkedIn, you can find some information. They always ask about that. So there's so much information available. Just invest your time to find the right information about particular employer, the practices that they have. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to have those information interviews with people. If you are a student at Mason, definitely use a Handshake tool platform to message other students. Let's say you want to work for, I don't know, Geico, and you want to go to that profile of that employer, and you can see actually how many other students worked or are currently working for that employer, and you can message them. Could be Mason students, Mason alumni, or students and alumni from other universities in the country. So if they have Handshake as a tool, many students can be in your network that way. So you can ask questions. Many times students connect with others before learning about the experience as an intern or as an employee there. And finding this information is so key as you want to make the right decision for yourself. And again, this is a long list. Earlier, you were sharing in the chat, and I'm sure you are thinking about this. What is important for you? Because, you know, many times we want the ideal package, but it's not always the case. So we have to figure out what we're willing to compromise to get what's the most important for us. And if you can meet all of these, yeah, that's wonderful. Okay, so what do you say if the job offer sounds like this? So so let me rephrase this. So if the employer gives you the offer, but you want to respond, and earlier someone wanted to know the right words. Here is an example of what you might say. Thought about the nature of the job, evaluate the all these, and a salary of, and ideally include a range. Is very important to include a range. Something like this. It doesn't have to be too long, and hopefully this example is something that you might want to use to respond. And just a piece of advice. Try to imagine that you are not advocating only for yourself. You are just advocating for your best friend or for someone in your family that's very dear to your heart. So try to do that. Imagine, what will I do if I need to be an advocate for someone that I love and I care for? Do the same this time when it's about you, and you can practice that, and you can ask someone who your family is like, hey, how do I do it? How does it sound to you? If you are not sure, but it shouldn't be that complicated.
Elena, someone in chat asked if it's appropriate to bring your own notes that you've written ahead of time to an interview or to a conversation when you're discussing salary.
Absolutely. Yes, because you might be nervous. You might forget something. You don't want to forget something important. Yes, bring your notebook. Actually, for me as a hiring manager, when I'm interviewing someone and someone comes with a notebook or something, they prepare their questions, they take notes during the interview because they want to remember important aspects. Absolutely, because if you take notes during the interview, you can use that information later when you negotiate, right? And it's like, I heard you saying earlier that for this position, you are planning to expand the collaboration in the next year or so. So then you can say, in the light of the new information that I received in the interview, I think this figure will be more appropriate, something like that. So absolutely take the notes and use them. So we're talking about, job offers, but then what happens when you are already in the job and you are ready for a raise, you want more money, right? What are you going to do that, right? So here is very important, right? It's always a good idea to pick the timing that works for you. Performance evaluation cycle is when your supervisor is going to write something for you. It's going to be official with HR. They will share that with you. It depends. Not all employers are doing it the same way. So learn about that, how that process is. So you want to kind of highlight, this is my contribution. I've got outstanding level for my performance. So then I feel confident that I can negotiate with my supervisor about a raise, right? You made a difference for a client that was very hard to satisfy with, you did a great job with that. This is the time, right? So it shows that you went above and beyond and you deserve the raise. And, just to think about here, what considerations to keep in mind as you are asking for the promotion or for the raise. I would say, even if you have the best supervisor in the world, imagine, just think about that supervisor has probably other direct reports and you want to kind of keep the information fresh in their mind and mentioning the things that you are working on and how you feel about it. I feel so great about this project. I'm very, I'm so excited about this, and you kind of putting in their radar, right? It's not, don't expect only every 6 months or every year to share that self-evaluation with them. So to have that conversation with your supervisor and make sure that they are in the loop. Or if you receive great feedback from someone, a client or a colleague, a partner, different departments, someone said great things, or testimonials for clients, make sure that you share that with your supervisor. Don't keep it for yourself. Don't feel like, I should not do that, but maybe it doesn't show that I'm modest enough. No, it's objective. Someone wrote something about you, share that. Collect that, create a folder in your email, share, save those things, because you can later have material to support your negotiation for a better salary. So again, the same questions will apply these too, right? It's the same thing, what are the priorities, what's important, what you're asking for, and if they don't give you the salary, maybe they give you that great conference, or I don't know, free parking or free daycare or whatever it is, right? So think about those things that are possible. The time is flying here. So let's see what we have. So here is give you some ideas of how to approach this conversation when you ask for a raise, right? So this is some ideas how to approach this. Try not to over complicate this, because you might be nervous. You might use too many words, and they might miss the message. Just write it down, rehearse that, and then when the timing is great, don't have this conversation with your supervisor when they had a bad day and you see them, they are upset and are smiling. That might not be the best time, but find the right timing for that. It can make a difference. I'm joking now, but timing is very important. Okay, so in terms of negotiation, knowing that I told you when I got my job long time ago, that that example I gave, it was matter of days negotiating, and then I had to wait for the HR to approve that, and I had to wait for a few days that the hiring manager asked for more money, and then she came back and she said, I cannot do anything, and I said, I'm sorry, I cannot take the job. She went back. So be patient with the process. I know it's very stressful. I remember I was not sleeping that well when I was in the process, because I thought I might walk from this job because I cannot accept this salary. So it was stressful, but eventually we found a compromise. But sometimes the compromise, it might not work for you. So you might be in the position that you need to decline the offer. So accepting, declining the offers, once you accept the offer, it means that you're committed to that position. Always very good idea to have a letter that's official, it's yours, to keep for your records, very important. And you once you accepted that, make sure that you write the nice message to accept the offer. The same way happens when you decline, right? So I'm thinking, I was in a position to offer the job to the best candidate in a search, and they will say, I'm sorry, I cannot accept this. And they decline for different reasons. Maybe it was the right timing in their life. Maybe they got a better offer somewhere else. I couldn't match the salary that other organizations were offering, so I understood that. Actually, I remember a person who applied for a position, and then later on they came back to apply for the job. It was a better position, a better pay. So timing can work. So that's why it's very important how you approach this. You know, you accept the offer, you commit to that. If you declined, you do that because it might not work for both parties right now, but it can work in the future. So you don't want to burn your bridges either. Okay. So just a reminder, remembering that nobody wants to negotiate, especially when we feel that we don't have we're not very proficient at this skill. So but remembering that I've seen this, I heard from colleagues that women are more likely to avoid this because they feel, you know, that it's a risk there. There are some myths there, you know, if I do this, I might lose the offer, you know, or if I don't get the raise, what's going to happen? So I rather not say anything. So just a few stats for you here to share with you. And my hope is that women are doing more often and better job at negotiating this. So feel free to connect with us. And if you have a job offer and you don't know how to approach this, we're happy to help you with these conversations. So what do we say in terms of, you know, just to give you an idea, some information here in class of 2020 of students. They didn't do this for the later years, but I wanted to share with you in terms of salary starting for men, women, and non-binary. So very important to know this. And again, if you need more resources and more coaching and support, we are happy to work with you. So the gender gap, the gender wage gap is real, intersects with race. Just thinking about this as well, I think is very important to know the gender wage gap is more significant for most women of color. So yeah, it shows in this graph here as well. So, and that's very important to negotiate the best you can, because the long-term impact of the wage gap, you know, so this graphic here shows this. I know it's a lot to take in, and that's why when you're going to have the slides, you can definitely spend more time looking at this. But just looking at this makes a difference, right? Where you start and, you know, 4 years, you know, long term, that has an impact. I would say, you know, just when you're negotiating as an employer, for some of you might be in the position. I shared my both experiences when I was asking for a better salary, but also as a hiring manager, I was in a position to understand how can I make a difference for someone. I really believe in my power as a supervisor to do my best to advocate for a better pay, even if I don't always get that. I think it's very important to pay to have you know, equitable pay for similar work. So people should get paid for similarly for the work they do. So just a few things here for you to consider. We are 5 o'clock, and I know it's, you know, time flies, as I said. So few more things for you to consider as well. But if you have any questions before you go, quickly, I think I can answer one question. Do we have anything in the chat right now, Taylor?
We have some comments. Someone's interested in contacting career services to learn more. So I just shared your email address. Oh, here's a question.
Okay.
Are some easy kind of everyday ways to increase our negotiation skills? So as you mentioned, there's skills. How can you practice them and build the skills?
I think listening and then collecting your thoughts and delivering a message as clear, and then checking for understanding. I think is so important when we communicate to make sure that the other person understands what we trying to communicate. I think that communication skills are going to be so helpful. In writing, I think I encourage you to write your thoughts and refine your message in writing. It's very helpful. Yeah, so definitely there's so many things to consider there, but I would say focus on communication skills, do your research, so important, because then you have the data. So the data shows this, and it's evidence there. You have the proof there. So happy to connect with you. We can make appointments with me or someone else, but because you are here, connect with me via LinkedIn, telling me where you met me, and I'm happy to share resources about what we do, and I will make the best referral if not, I'm not the person in charge. So thank you so much for being here today. Taylor, thank you so much for being a great partner and for assisting today. I hope everybody has a great evening.
Yes, thank you so much, Elena, for presenting on this really important topic to so many of us. We really appreciate you. And thank you all for participating in Money Smart Day 2023. We do have one other session at 5:30 on financial planning basics. So be sure to click that Zoom link at 5:30 if you want to join that one as well. But please send your thanks over to Elena.